this is where you might be giving too much power to the algorithm to define your self-worth. This is how you know if that's happening, that you only want to show up when you're getting a lot of likes. Or you say sentences like, I'll reach my goals only if I have this many followers, only if I get this amount of engagement, or if I make this many sales, then I'm successful, right? So we are letting performance of a behavior-driven algorithm to define what we think we are worthy of as a whole, as a person. So we're attaching a lot of that to ourselves. I mean, let's be real here. We know that happens. It absolutely happens. We've lost the sense of ourselves. Welcome to the Limitless Podcast, the show where women entrepreneurs become radically aware of their limiting beliefs, learn to value their worth, generate wealth, and to thrive as a magnetic brand leader. I'm your host, Jamie Ratterman, a six-figure holistic business coach. I've helped over 100 rebellious entrepreneurs master marketing, embody leadership, and say fuck it to the hustle. Let's dive in. Hello, lovelies. Welcome to another episode of the Limitless Podcast. I am in the midst of the most humid, sauna-driven New York summer. So sweaty. Like, oh my goodness. And I'm also sitting here going, oh my gosh, we have 1 month left. 1 month left of the summer before we walk into September, before we walk into the fall. And I am going to be completely blunt. I had a little bit of a breakup with social media. I have walked away from it for about 2 weeks. And it's been my thought of process is I want to share what I do when I'm feeling that, ick or not really into my normal social program, because I know that this is something that's absolutely normal, but I'm also going, I want September to feel really easy, really light, really expansive. I want now to feel that way. And I know that social media has the prospect to do that. So today's episode, we're going to be talking about how to love it again, how to get yourself back into it, but also to understand that this part of building a brand, building a business, being a modern citizen that uses social media to upgrade their lives, this stuff's normal. It's absolutely normal. And there's also an easy way to just come back and make it something that you enjoy and are ready to get into. So let's dive into the episode itself. So whether you called it a social media break, let's say, or whether you just like Irish exited, you were like, I didn't say shit, I didn't have a plan, I just decided to stop opening up my Instagram or opening up my Twitter, opening up my threads for a while. It's time to take a look at what it's about. This episode is for you. So, like I said, I'm in the midst of needing this myself, but I also, in general, do this all the time with clients. Now, I've been on a couple podcasts and they've quickly called me the social media therapist, because really what it comes down to is we need to look at our relationship. We need to look at the relationship we're having, how much power we're giving social media. But ultimately, whenever I have a disgruntled, frustrated client come to me about going like, I know that social media is important. I know that I can get new clients. I know, but I just don't want to. I don't want to do all the things. This is what I want to walk you through. This is what I walk them through so that they're not only shifting that energy, we're going to get rid of some of that, like, fuck it, I don't care, even though it's absolutely a lifeline. It's absolutely a life force to build that business, the brand, the wealth, the dream life that you want, right? We're going to shift that energy, but we're also going to understand why. So for fun, we're gonna talk about social media and your lack of maybe being present on there as a breakup. So you broke up with social media. We've all been there. So let's think about different ways and reasons why I want to do this. The reason why I want to talk about this social media as a breakup is that, yeah, it means that there's something wrong with the relationship. It means that there's something toxic. There's something that's not expansive. There's something that you in general are not getting out of it. And you can change that. So let's first look at why we want to break up social media, why we might want to walk away. First one that I have listed is you feel like social media is so time consuming and you got to keep creating more, you got to keep building new skill sets, all of the above. So yeah, time consuming. We give more time, we're giving more time in building a brand than we did in the past. It's absolutely true. I'm telling you how easy it was to grow your following 7 years ago on Instagram, and now it's just more sophisticated. It's the people who are continuing to learn, want to keep building the skill set. Even too, oh guys, it was so easy to get traffic from Facebook about like 10, 15 years ago. Like so easy. Like, oh my goodness. And then even that, and then a couple years later, it was even if you had millions of followers, you had to build up the skill set of how do people engage on social. So yeah, let's just call it a spade a spade. To grow, to build a really strong brand, it's going to require time. And sometimes we don't have that. We don't have the time. We don't have the priority of social media. And that's absolutely a valid reason to break up with social media. Another reason could be that you are getting less reach, less likes, less sales than you had in the past. So on top of everything that we just said, you're doing all this stuff and they're not showing up for you. So like think about this as like if a girlfriend boyfriend situation. I'm showing up, I'm giving you more of my time and you aren't matching me. And you aren't matching me. Of course that makes sense that you would want to break up with social. It's feeling hard, right? So let's just keep on moving. Valid reasons. What if instead of it being social media's fault here, though, you might just be simply walking through a hard season of life? You have things going on outside of building your brand. You have, you're wearing many hats as an entrepreneur. All of that's there. So it could simply be that right now, content creation, building your brand, communicating, engaging with others is not adding to your life. It's only making whatever is feeling heavy even heavier. Totally a valid reason. If my boyfriend can't make me feel happier when I'm sad, well, it's kind of I want something better, right? I can't always put on a smiling face. I want something to support me, right? The last one I think always mixes in with the other reasons that people want to break up. This is where you might be giving too much power to the algorithm to define your self-worth. This is how you know if that's happening. That you only want to show up when you're getting a lot of likes. Or you say sentences like, I'll reach my goals only if I have this many followers, only if I get this amount of engagement, or if I make this many sales, then I'm successful, right? So we are letting performance of a behavior-driven algorithm to define what we think we are worthy of as a whole, as a person. So we're attaching a lot of that to ourselves. I mean, let's be real here. We know that happens. It absolutely happens. We've lost the sense of ourselves. So these 4 things I just shared are absolutely valid reasons on why you can break up with social media, why it makes sense. But let's ask ourselves this question here. Who's truly the toxic partner? Who's truly a toxic partner when it comes to this? Who's creating the content? Who's opening the app? Who's spending the time? Who's the one that's engaging with anything? Taking a break. Sorry, now it makes me want to watch Friends. Taking a break from social. We were on a break. Walking away from something is the point of doing that is to gain clarity. We want to gain clarity of why we needed to walk away. So I gave you 4 examples here, and I want you to start to think about which one of these line up for me. Do a few of them line up for you? Whatever might make sense. But the idea is that we are the ones that are in power. We define what this relationship is because we're the more intelligent ones. The algorithm does not define us, but we get to define how it works for us, how it supports us, and how we can use this free resource, this opportunity to make ourselves feel whole, to continue learning, to building up what we are, but also to set some really strong boundaries with what it means to live in this modern world. So walking away, in theory, should allow you to gain clarity on where you might be giving away too much power. We control what we post, how we post, ultimately why we post in the first place. Everything falls into those three key areas. So I'm asking you today, let's give our ex-boyfriend, ex-girlfriend, aka social media, another chance. Let's walk into what can be a heavily supportive relationship. Let's own our scars. Let's own what kind of stories we might be telling about ourselves that has nothing to do with our performance on social media, and start setting some terms. How we want to demand respect for ourselves. We want to set true goals for what we want to feel as we use this medium. But we also want, but ultimately, if you're here, if you're listening to Limitless, you're wanting to build a brand, a business with impact. Okay. So we're going to talk about what it means to come back to social, but have a growing and healing relationship with it. It takes awareness, it takes understanding, but we're going to do that here. So let's diagnose the switch. Let's diagnose what it means to come back into a healthy relationship. So right now, when I was listing the things that could cause problems, if too time consuming was the first thing that came up, and you're like, yeah, James, it's too fucking time consuming. Let's own our scars. How is perfectionism contributing to this being too time consuming? If you have a tendency to spend more than 20 minutes on a caption, or finesse a visual for a long time, or do 5, 6 recordings of the same video, this might be the problem. So if it's too time consuming because you need it to be perfect, here's your sign. That's the thing that you get to work on because of social media. Small things you can do here, of course, is to set a timer, to promise yourself that 3 takes is all you're going to give yourself, depending on what you're working on. Building templates, building up things to make it simpler, but ultimately own what is to actually time consuming. Is it the true process, or is it how much pressure you're putting on yourself? And make a plan to shift. Make a plan to decide, okay, if I know that I have the tendency to do this, there's nothing wrong with me. Perfectionism runs rampant in many of us. But if I want this to feel different, then I'm going to walk into this going, all right, I want to use this tactic each and every time I create. Also, too, in what ways have you been building up time management, showing up consistently? So whenever I talk about this, and you've heard me say this on previous episodes, I would never want to put somebody in the place that you have to be on point, available, creative every single day. So the idea of creating new content every single day, you've got to make time for 30 minutes, 45 minutes to create a post every single day. Nah, batching can look like grouping a couple of ideas together. Batching can look like doing a couple visuals together. But ultimately, setting aside the time when you are best capable of creating into your calendar. I've seen a couple of people talk about this, working with your circadian rhythms, working with your Floridian rhythms. For anyone who knows Floridian rhythm, that's when your period, like your cycle, the best times to do it during your cycle, which usually are ovulating or during your follicular phase, are really great times. But line it up, try it differently. Make sure that you are not just putting pressure on yourself every single day, because that's going to suck. It's going to suck to have to, oh, I can't go and see my friends because I haven't done the post yet today. Try to build it into your schedule. Also, there are communities like my Rising Influence community where we meet every single Wednesday, so that you can not only get your best ideas, but you can be amongst others who are wanting to fulfill this goal for themselves. Lastly, here with it, if it feels too time consuming, where have you built in shortcuts? So shortcuts look like caption excerpts, or sorry, a caption step by step. So like building up a quick template. Okay, if I want to do an educational based post, this is normally what the captions look like. If I'm going to do an inspirational type video, these are the hooks that I can get inspiration from. Like really building up ways to make this simpler. There's so many ways to build in shortcuts. We talk all about it within the Rising Influence community, but the main thing I want to get across here is that if right now you're saying that social media is too time consuming and you want to walk away from it, I want you to own how much of it is perfectionism and be able to say, all right, I can use this particular thing to allow me to be less of a perfectionist, to recover from this. I can use this to dedicate and build up self-trust by co-creating with others, or to set aside time every single week so that I can show up more often on social media, or to be able to give yourself little gifts so that there's shortcuts so that you can get things up a little quicker. Because if it's too time consuming, but you have done nothing to save yourself time, here's your sign. Come back into this relationship and promise that you're going to continue to find ways to make this simpler and easier for you. Now, if you're looking for time management, again, I give these kind of strategies all the time. It really is personal to each person, but there are so many ways to batch and shortcut along the way. So come back, rekindle your relationship by promising yourself these ways that you can make it a little less time consuming. Let's say you broke up because the performance is dipped. So in general, you're not getting the sales, the likes, the engagement that you used to. Now, I want to be really clear here. Relationships get boring when nobody gets to evolve. When we are supposed to be the same person that we were when we met each other. Does it mean that change is easy? Fuck no. Does it mean that we would rather just be able to stay in our comfort zone all the time? Absolutely. But when it comes down to it, if we want to have expansive, big, beautiful relationships, that there's challenge. There's asking each other to be the best versions of ourselves, right? So with all of the things I mentioned, that the social media platforms are different now, that they're expecting higher quality, they're expecting better storytellers, they're expecting this higher level of creativity. Instead of looking at it as, this fucking sucks, I don't want to do it. What does it look like to go, I promise myself to keep learning, that if I do this, there's enough evidence online to show me that this is going to make me a better person and going to bring me in more sales. This is going to make me meet the people I've been looking for. How perfect would this be? So let's take a look at this. If you want more reach right now, can you decide that you want to build up the skill set of better storytelling? That you want to build up the skill set of filming yourself? That you want to build up the skill set of editing video, what that might look like? If you for the next 2 weeks just promise yourself that you're going to spend 20 minutes on that particular skill and allow that to be a part of your content creation, you're going to get more reach. I'm willing to bet on it. Like you can let me know if you build up the skill set of being a better storyteller, better at filming high quality film, or better at getting editing done. For this, all is going to fall into place for you. So what does it look like for you to want to evolve towards that? Okay. If you're getting less likes, this is an opportunity for you to learn how to reconnect with your potential clients. So if you're getting less likes, less comments, this is your way of going, am I actually creating content that my clients want to hear, that my potential clients are actually looking for? So here's your sign to spend more time talking to the people that you would love to work with and ask them what they're challenged by in your particular industry, so that you can make sure that you're not just creating content that you want to create. I want you to have that creative freedom, but also that you're listening to the people who are going to help you get that engagement, that you're answering the questions, the challenges, the problems that they need support in. Last one here, if you're getting less sales than you did, what can you learn from what's not working? Now, if you got to listen to the Rising Sales series, I gave a ton of ways to really think about what might be preventing you from getting sales from social media. So that can be a wonderful resource. Of course, I have the Money Mastery Academy program that helps clients do exactly that, to build that social to sales pipeline. But the idea here is that if you aren't getting sales, there's something that's happening that is telling you this doesn't work. So you have an advantage over people who you have an advantage. Okay, something in this equation is not working for me. How can I learn from this process? So instead of looking at the changes and all the things that are happening on social media as this, cage, as this something that's so frustrating, what if you decided to stand up to the challenge? That if you are somebody who wants to expand as a person, as a business, meet the people, build the community, see all these things, what does it look like to decide, I I like to evolve. I want to be a better person. I want to be a better creator. I want to serve the people even better. But in doing so, the algorithm's gonna absolutely go like, thank you. Here's more people. Here's more sales. Here's more opportunities. So if you want this relationship to heal, what if you decided, okay, I'm going to come back and I'm going to accept that I'm going to be asked to evolve. I'm going to be asked to upgrade. I'm going to be asked to be a better creator. We're healing, right? We're taking another step. Now, I will say that those two are very strategic. It's easy to kind of go like, okay, I'm going to focus on how to be less like what's in my control to make this less time consuming. And I'm also going to be able to understand that if I want to grow and be a part of this online community, that it's going to take building up a new skill set. Great. Well, let's talk about emotionals or an emotional breakup. So if you are in a rough season of life, and to be frank, this is normally the reason why I will step back. Like I'll feel like something else is going on in my life that I needed the break, right? But this is something that I always like to come back to. So if you're in a rough season of life, this might be where you need to ask social media, what have you done for me lately? Right? I'm trying to remember the comedian who said that. There's a comedian that's like, what have you done for me lately? Where like whenever you're in a fight with your boyfriend, like and like they're like, what's wrong? Well, what have you done for me lately? What have you done for me? Now, this is like where we take a moment and think about how social media does have the potential to not only be this outlet of self-expression, that we get to write our own biographies online, we get to share what's important to us, but it also gets to be a place where we get to model out who we want to become. Who's the little rebels, right? The rebels that are putting themselves out there because there are people that can't wait to see us be rebellious. For me, this was huge. Like absolutely. Sometimes when I get this disgruntled feeling, I will remember that social media made me rebellious. It allowed me to show up not imperfectly. And it helped me to say the things I wanted to say and decide when I pressed post that I was proud of myself. And it absolutely has modeled who I am because I not only said I wanted to be more rebellious, that I was allowed to be seen without makeup, with makeup, whatever I wanted, but I also had stories worthy of telling. And the way that I put that into evidence, into action, was to press post, was to put it out there. Now, the engagement that came from that, sure, it was like a nice little cherry on top. But again, like when I think about what has social media done for me lately, it's also the way I'm seeing it. What am I putting out there? Is it meaningful to me? So this is a good opportunity for you to just kind of take a look at like what do you want in your life right now. So I like to do this kind of thinking about what are three characteristics that if your best friend decided to share with you that said that what they love about you, that they've noticed lately about you, what would be those three characteristics? So what are the three that you would like to represent for yourself and for those around you? So this is about, are you a curious person? Are you a silly person? Do you want your brand to be nurturing, caring? Do you in general want to help be a myth buster? Do you want to feel rebellious? Do you want to be sexy? Do you want to be seductive? All of these characteristics, like, who is it that I want to be? And then we can use social media to reverse engineer and create this step-by-step process to become more of that person. So a client of mine, like, this is a perfect example. A client of mine, she's a designer. She knows, like, creatively, she knows what to do. She's a fantastic writer as well. Absolutely good at this. But she always found herself never sticking to being consistent. She had the template. She knew how to make it non-time consuming, all of the things. But the problem wasn't the doing. It was the fact that she was creating this entire brand that just wasn't her, or wasn't who she wanted to be. Let's be clear. So what we did is that we created a plan to start to define what kind of vibe and energy she wanted to be putting out. And this is one of the most loving things. I, of course, love giving clients more sales, but when we took out, like, we scratched out that I want to be a professional brand. And she's like, I really hate that. It feels like something that I don't want my clients to feel, but I don't want to feel anymore. And we decided to flip it around to go, okay, you want to be silly. You want to be sarcastic. You want to be amused. You want to be committed. We were able to find the adjectives that made her like go like, yeah, like, I would want to show up to be like that because I would be creating this for me. Now, what was fun about this is that, like, yeah, for her, this meant some dancing videos. This meant kind of showing a little bit of her own personal style. This meant cracking a joke or two in her stories. This also meant like a filterless photo from time to time. But what was really wonderful is that, yeah, changing the feel, the why, the in general, the person she was creating through her content. Yeah, she posted 4+ times a week. It happened because it was like, there was not this, it has to be this person I'm supposed to be. It was, who am I becoming? And let me use my expression to build that evidence to get me there. But what was even more fun with this is that the more she did this on social, it started to happen in her real life. It started to happen with how her and her dad had their relationship dynamics, that she was able to stand up for herself. She set better boundaries. She was able to keep her own time boundaries for herself so that she could work and then go enjoy. There were so many things that happened, but this practice of putting who she wanted to become out there made it all worthwhile, made it all work out. So just consider how this can be your way, your daily action to get your subconscious on board that you are deserving of being seen and you get to create the person that you've always wanted to be. Last one here, and it's a doozy, is when we are attaching too much of our personal value, our self-worth, to our social media performance. So we've walked through a lot of things in this episode. Let's take just a second and take a big deep breath here, like in through the nose, out through the mouth. Okay. Now, we've all been here. So I'm not going to sit here and say social media never feels like a popularity contest, because it doesn't, because it's just not true. It doesn't mean that using social media, we're going to ignore that there are the hard side, the hardships, right? But this is one thing I want you to understand, is that we get to see when it's happening and we get to change it. Now, I think it's kind of fun to look at this again, what it looks like when you see it out in the world. So whether either we or we've seen a friend of ours who only lights up when she is shown attention by her crush, right? It's the same. This is the same concept. Like, somebody's like, I'm just feeling low, and then as soon as that boy with a beautiful green eyes comes in, and like beautiful hair, nice shoulders, the whole thing, right? They walk into the coffee shop. They perk up. They're their best self. They act a certain way. They're excited to be there. But as soon as he picks up his coffee order and walks out of that cafe, they're back to being low and unhappy, right? They only perk up when they're getting attention from this one person. So this is where I want to, give that person a big old hug. Because and even too, when I'm in those feelings, that's what I want. I want a big old hug too. This is where we go and understand that we've been outsourcing our worthiness to our social performance. And instead, this is where we go, I get to express my worthiness on social media. Oh, I've been slipping. I've been letting the algorithm making me feel like I'm not worthy. How do I feel worthy first? And then I get to express my worthiness online. What does that look like? What small ways can I make sure that happens? So developing a higher self-worth can be supported by using social media. So similar to creating the person you want to become, like I was mentioning before, what does it feel like to have someone show up no matter if the conditions are perfect or not? So this is where you go. This is where I talk about self-trust. Okay. We hear people talking about consistency, not in the hopes of likes or sales, but to make ourselves proud. It's the idea of like, I know that if I go to the gym every single morning, whether it's a 20-minute workout or a 45-minute workout or an hour and a half, whatever it might be, I walk out of that gym with a little bit of extra swagger. I walk out of that gym going, I am bulletproof. Like I can do it. I followed through on the thing I promised myself today. And I know I'm going to continue that, right? So when we talk about consistency, it's not talking about the hopes of sales or likes. It's really about making ourselves proud. And there's this saying when I heard it, I kind of had a little bit of a reaction to that. There's a saying where discipline creates freedom. When I heard it, I kind of just like, oh, I had to listen again. Like, how does that happen? But the truth is that commitment and discipline helps us build the self-trust I was talking about, helps us realize that if we want to love ourselves, if we want to love the life that we're in, the life that we're building, we got to trust that we're going to follow through on the small things and the big things. And being able to express ourselves, to share our expertise, to believe that we get to be heard, we now have a free opportunity to do that in the form of social media. So self-trust builds in the act of self-love. And then those two things are the perfect little equation for self-worth. So how can I trust myself to follow through on the things that I want in my life? And a small way to do that is to post on a regular basis on social. How do I do this in a loving way? Same. So this is where we are crowding out our self-doubts and we are installing in a new belief that can only hold if we actually apply action. So we can't just say we love social media and then we don't use it, right? It's just words until we take action. This is something I've written for myself when I have those moments where I need to build myself up. I need to build up that confidence again. I deserve. I love the word deserve. I deserve to express my creativity. I deserve to connect with others. I deserve to amplify my impact every single day. And I choose to do it through social media. I promise to do that. I'm promising myself this by sharing X times a week. Who's ready to heal their relationship with social? So I walked through all of the things you can do, and I want to really kind of hit on that. But I want you to see social media is a tool. It is not a measure of how valuable we are, but it can show us how much of our power we are giving away. It's okay if we get off balance. It's okay if we end up taking a break from time to time. But I want you to just see them as breaks so that you can come back and realize that you are so freaking powerful and you get to use this resource. So for anyone who's in the midst of a social media break, but also wants to come back with a new refreshed energy, take a step back and walk through these simple 3 steps. First, identify why you don't want to post, why you don't want to open the app. What is it that preventing you from getting there? I gave you 4 examples that are common in this episode. Which of the 4 really hit home for you? Maybe you had a mix of those. Which one feels the heaviest right now? So if the time-consuming one felt the heaviest, you know what to do. Okay. Or if you are walking through that season of life, if that feels like that's the heaviest, think about how you can switch it. Step 2 is to visualize in actionable terms how you would like social media to feel, and understand that there is a lot of joy to be had by the way we look at it and how we promise things to ourselves. But don't forget that there's some obstacles and how you can walk into it with a more of a problem-solving attitude. So flip that challenge and decide we're going to heal and become more expansive by the way that we use it. So what if social media helped you beat perfectionism? What if it helped you learn a new skill? What if it allowed you to become genuinely the person you want to become? Or it helped you commit to giving yourself self-love and a higher sense of worth? That's the thing I want you to visualize today. And then step 3 is to stop putting this all on yourself. A lot of the things that come up is hard patterns to break, and trying to do this by yourself is insanity. Like, it is absolute insanity. So life hack, stop doing things alone, especially when you find yourself hitting the same wall over and over again. Some of what I've shared with you today are deep rooted habits, beliefs. And if for us to release them, we want to be amongst other people who are doing the same. Get that accountability, get that support from somebody else who's trying to do the same thing. So now everything I shared today and much, much more is exactly how I support my clients in my online creator community, the Rising Influence community. So within this private community, you're going to get support from me. Every single Wednesday, we host content planning sprints where you in general can set aside the time to get the content done, but you also have an expert in your corner to help you make sure that if you feel stuck, if you're focused on trying to get more sales, if you're trying to build up a better, higher film quality for what you're doing, we are there to help you reach that goal. But you also have other entrepreneurs that are trying to learn how to do these things as well, or trying to build up their revenue as well. So knowing that you have both of those things, you're going to be in the energy of the goals you want to achieve. Let's just start there. Big part of it. But this private community has so many resources. It is so exciting to talk about this because I have everything from storytelling to better caption writing to templates on templates to make it easier, more time efficient to get your posts up, know exactly what to post in your stories, know exactly what to do with your Instagram bio. It is all in there. We have mini courses in there. We have completely dedicated spaces to people asking for help, not only with the strategic side of things, but also if they're feeling that low point, that emotional support that they need. We have meditations, we have breath work, we have in general reflections to help you move past those blocks. So that's all in there. Now, of course, on a regular basis, we have what we call the main chat that gives you trending audios, gives you little insights every day, but you can use this community by asking any question any time of week, and I or my support coach and video specialist, Nicolette, are in there to answer it for you. So all of this is about cutting down time to making sure scientifically backed to have the accountability to beat some of the things that are preventing you from reaching your goals. But the main thing is that this is the opportunity to heal your relationship with social, to love the way you do it, and by doing so, finding yourselves in a higher cash month in sales. And by doing so, enjoying the process, enjoying what it feels like to post on social. So I'm going to drop in the show notes a link to the Rising Influence community. You can go in there and see everything that's already in the community, but there's new content dropping in every single month. So get excited about that. But right now is the best time to join. The first 25 joiners into the community are going to get the lowest price ever. So if you join now, in general, nobody else is going to get this price because as soon as we hit that first 25, it's going to go up. So if you want to get in, drop it in the show notes. I have that in there. If you want to get a glimpse of what's coming in there, I'll make sure to drop our attraction guide just to get an idea of all of the amazing resources we have inside the group. So I hope today I shared with you that one, it's absolutely normal to have a breakup with social, but you are the most powerful being that can use this resource to become an even better version of yourself, to enjoy the process, to find the people, but it takes a little bit of healing. It takes a little bit of shifting. And if you are wanting that support, join me in the Rising Influence community. It is fan-freaking-tastic, and I'm so excited to invite you in. Until then, though, live a little more limitless.